Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Paul Fletcher. I'm the CEO for Workforce Solutions Rural Capital Area, and we're here today to host a multi-chamber event to just give an opportunity for all of our chambers of commerce groups to get together, talk about what's going on. We've got a few things happening from the workforce side that I'd like to talk a little bit about, just wanted to extend an opportunity for this group to meet and talk about what's happening in each of your areas and in the region as a whole. So I'm Paul Fletcher from the Workforce Board. I've got a couple of my staff on the call with us today. Brian Hernandez is our Chief Storytelling Officer, our communications guy. And then Diane Tackett is our Chief Operations Officer. And she will be talking to us a little bit today about the IKEA home grant. But what I'd like to do first, before we get too far into this, is have you guys introduce yourselves. I've been on lots of Zoom calls and don't know of a good way for me to throw it out there to everyone to introduce themselves, because everybody tries to talk at once and then nobody talks. So I'm just going to run down the list of who I think is on the call. And if I miss anybody at the end, please let me know. We want to make sure we acknowledge everyone that's here. So starting at the top of my list that I have, Jason Ball from the Round Rock Chamber.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jason with the Round Rock Chamber. Thrilled to be here for part of this discussion, and just applaud our friends at Workforce Solutions Rural Capital Area for launching this series. I'm hopeful it continues in a strong way and is well attended by our friends in the region.
Thank you, Jason. And now from the San Marcos Chamber, Jason Mock.
Thank you, Paul. Jason Mott with the San Marcos Chamber, and I echo Jason Ball's comments about this. I look forward to holding these on a regular basis and learning from you, Paul, and your team, and hearing from other chambers and economic development entities around the region about what the work they're doing. So thank you for today's meeting.
Thank you, Jason. And then from the Greater San Marcos Partnership, Jason Giulietti.
Perfect. Having a contest for how many Jasons we can have on the call. Appreciate it. No, Jason Giulietti from the Greater San Marcos Partnership. We're a public-private partnership, a little different than a chamber. We focus on economic development exclusively. So we partner up with all our chambers. So we appreciate all of you guys and partner really closely, Paul, with your group. And we really appreciate what you guys are putting together. So thank you.
Thank you. From the Georgetown Chamber, Jim Johnson.
Hey, thank you so much. This is Jim Johnson with the Georgetown Chamber of Commerce. I apologize. One of my meetings ran a little late, so I'm going from meeting to meeting. But I appreciate the opportunity to be here and see how this meeting goes. Thanks, guys.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Also from the Georgetown Chamber, we have Allison McKee.
I'm Allison McKee. I'm the Director of Programs here at the Georgetown Chamber.
Thank you, Allison. From the Austin Chamber, Alexis Flores, I'm sorry. Okay, I didn't see him on the list, but we'll move on. From the Dripping Springs Chamber, Amanda Miyamoto. From the Dripping Springs Chamber, Susan Kimball. And I know we had some people that registered that then later told me they couldn't join because of the spring break this week, but we hope to do this again soon. From the Cedar Park Chamber, Tony Maline. From the Elgin Chamber, Gina Carter. From the Smithfield Chamber, April Daniels.
Hello.
Hi,
April Daniels here. Excited to be here. Looking forward to it.
We're glad you're here. And then from the Luling Chamber, Ashley Flores. And anybody that I missed, I heard Gina Carter just joined from the Elgin Chamber. Gina, you want to introduce yourself?
Yep, sorry about that. Hi, I'm Gina from the Elgin Chamber.
Good to see you, Gina. Is there anybody on the call that didn't get a chance to introduce themselves?
Hi, I'm Danielle Morrissey. I'm the Director of Workforce and Industry Development with the Round Rock Chamber. I'm looking forward to the collaboration. Thanks.
Thank you, Danielle.
I'm Briley Mitchell with the Atlanta Chamber of Commerce, and I'm also on the Board of Directors for Texas Workforce Solutions Rural Capital Area.
Thank you, Briley.
I'm on here.
Hey, Denise.
Denise
Go ahead.
Harlan, Giddings Area Chamber of Commerce. Also on the Workforce Solutions Rural Capital Area Board.
I was kind of saving Denise and Briley for our last intros because they're two of our chamber members that are actually on our board of directors for the workforce board. So we certainly appreciate their attention to that board and their time today on this call. How about anybody else that didn't get a chance? Okay. Well, if anybody joins during the call, if they we'll make one last plea for intros, so we make sure everybody gets to acknowledge their organization and get a chance to talk about why they're here. One of the things that I wanted to talk about today, while I had this great group together, was the master workforce plan that we have been working on as a workforce board, probably for the last close to 2 years. It seems like a long time to get a plan off the ground, but COVID kind of dealt us some delays. But we're really ready to get this thing going, and we have a kickoff meeting planned for March 31st. Our chief storyteller, Brian Hernandez, is going to tell us a little bit about that event. But before he gets to that, I kind of want to let you guys know what this plan means for the workforce board. This is really our set of operating instructions for the next 3 years. We feel like it's critical for our 9-county area, as well as Travis County, because we're all tied together, to have a good idea of what our resources are, what our needs are, and where the needs and the resources have gaps, and what we can do to try to mitigate those gaps. To do that, we're rolling out it's really 10 different plans, but it's one big regional plan, and then underneath that are 9 different county plans that will identify what the resources are, what the needs are, try to identify where the gaps are, and then we'll start working to remediate those gaps for things like skills training, and even some things that are pretty far outside the realm of workforce development, but housing issues, transportation issues, broadband issues, healthcare issues. We want to put it all on the table and have a place for everybody to talk about, the barriers that are getting in the way of business being able to find the resources they need to hire up and get things going. So that's the intent of the workforce plan. And Brian, would you tell us a little bit about what's going to happen on March 31st?
Will do. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate the opportunity. And thank you everyone for joining us today. I know all of us are super excited about really getting the chat going, but we really want to just encourage you to take part on March 31st. Kicking off at noon, we're actually going to be presenting you guys with more of a detailed explanation of the plan, some animations in there as well, and really kind of showcasing all of our communities. We've actually secured a lot of great assistance from a video vendor of ours to actually go around and shoot video in each one of our communities to really show, again, what it is that we represent and how we're collectively trying to come together to really boost our communities. Immediately following that initial presentation, we're going to transition over into a panel discussion amongst all board leadership to allow you and also our public as well an opportunity to really get more questions answered and really kind of pose any questions you would like to follow up with, or maybe things for the future that we need to pay attention to as we start to roll these out. And then there's going to be a push to each of the individual county groups meetings we're going to have moving forward that are going to be planned with you guys to build some anticipation about that and what to expect. Basically the entire March 31st event will be streamed live on our website and also throughout all of our social media accounts. But then you can also, if you want to take part in a panel discussion, there is a separate registration for that on Zoom, but all of it's going to be basically tied into the same exact broadcast. So we encourage you guys to look at that. I'll send you guys some more information about that registration for the panel discussion. But if you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. We definitely want to make sure that you guys feel like this is something that you can take part in.
Thank you, Brian. And I think Brian's contact information should be available for you guys. If you don't have Brian's, you can always reach Brian through me. Brian does a lot of great work for us to get our information out there to the public through all kinds of different means. Brian's made a lot of us on this call kind of infamous or famous with newscasts and things like that. So thanks for your work, Brian, and thanks for that information. Anybody have any questions about that workforce plan?
I don't have a question about the plan, but the meeting on the 31st, what time is that going to take place?
Brian, do you have the time?
Yes, sir. So the actual kickoff event will start at 12, and then we're going to transition into the panel discussion, which we believe will start around 1.
All right, thank you. The next thing I had on my agenda was to talk about something that I had sent out some information about the IKEA home grant a couple of weeks ago, and we had a real short turnaround there where we had to, I think we got it on a Friday, and we had to get it back to TWC by the following Friday. So there wasn't a whole lot of time to really get into that, but we got an extension for that particular grant, and so our Chief Operations Officer Diane Tackett is going to share some information about that grant opportunity with y'all and see if there's any interest to pursue that.
Sure. Thanks, Paul. So the IKEA home grant is some private funding. It was a donation that Texas Workforce Commission received from IKEA. And the grant is designed to provide direct and immediate support to businesses that have had some type of impact related to COVID-19 and have had to try to retool some of their business processes in order to cope and adapt to the change in environment due to the pandemic. So kind of the big picture of this grant is that we can apply to receive up to $75,000 for our total 9-county board area. And we would be running the grant from March of 2021 all the way through to March 31st, 2022, kind of depending on how long the funding lasts and what the needs are from the business community. A couple of things to keep in consideration is that this would be a grant that would go directly to employers to help offset the cost of, again, having to retool or pivot how they provide services or how they do business due to the pandemic. So some of the things that could be allowable for us to help a business with would be website development costs or helping with some QR codes or changing different point of sale devices to provide some more support to the business. We could help develop online webinars or videos to facilitate customer self-service. We could support the purchase of technology to support communication channels, for providing remote consultation or initial quotes and analyses. And so the example given is if there's plumbing, electrical, or remodeling services, and they want to try to do some virtual quoting or virtual analysis of the environment, we might be able to provide the tools or equipment to allow them to do that. And then we can also help with digital marketing, sales, business signage, or other things like that to support businesses. I think there's a couple of things to keep into consideration with this grant. Again, the funding would go directly to the business. And there's a couple of things that we would ask the business to be able to report back to us. One would be the number of employees that were assisted through this grant. So that's kind of a clunky way of saying the number of layoffs that would be averted or the number of staff that were able to continue to do their work because this grant has allowed them to remain in customer service or to remain in retail or many of those other industries. And then we would also just look for a description of the changes in the work environment and the impact of those changes. So when this first came out, we had such a constricted deadline. We weren't really able to get into a lot of detail about what the need is in the community or how we could kind of help support the need of the business community. But kind of looking a little bit further into this, it seems like a good solution would be to get kind of a general idea of what some employer needs might be over the course of the next 12 months. So we could either look at expenses that employers have already incurred that they would be looking for reimbursement for, or we could be looking at expenses that an employer is about to incur because they still have to retool and cope with the effects of the pandemic. And if we have a general idea of who those businesses would be or what some specific products or projects are that they might need to focus on, we could do a more general grant application process and then internally do some localized applications and approvals for our local businesses. So, kind of the idea is that we would submit one application to TWC to pull down what we think is the reasonable amount of funding that employers in our area might need. And then we would work over the next 6 to 9 months in coordination with you all to identify employers that need this influx or need this kind of support so that they can remain in business and stay open. We would have the employer then submit some general information to us so that we could determine how to get the funding to them. Our application is due to TWC on March 31st. So we do have about 2 weeks or so that we can still work on identifying some key projects or specific things. And I know that there's been, I think there was some initial interest from a couple of different locations, and we just weren't really able to go in depth to kind of flush out what this would look like for the community. But we do have some more time to do that now. And I think it would be important to help get this word out so that different employers know that this is available and that we are interested in supporting them in any way that we can. So anybody have any questions or thoughts about this?
So Diane, April Daniels from the Smithfield Chamber had reached out to me while we were talking. She wanted to make sure that we did get what they had sent in for that. And I let her know that we'd be getting back in touch with them very soon.
Yes, absolutely, April. I appreciate that. Kara and I actually talked a little bit this morning about that, and I think she's going to be coming back to you with a couple of more questions just to really kind of flesh this out a little bit more.
Thank you, Diane. I'd be interested in seeing how you're going to be able to, or how we as chambers could reach out to our particular members and figure out what it is they need. I can say here in Smithville, we have hosted several trainings, multi-course trainings on how to build websites, how to create online stores, how to do touch-free service for people through their Facebook pages, how to hold Facebook auctions, anything they could do to transition from the more traditional environment to the virtual online environment. We're still holding those classes, and in fact, we'll have several more all the way through August. And it seems to be that people are really interested in figuring out a way, even after the pandemic, to continue to offer some of those virtual online services. So that, in my experience, that's been the biggest thing that our local shops and different businesses really need.
Yeah, and part of what Karen and I were talking about this morning was how we can word the application in a way that would kind of support that overall need for businesses in the community and still allow us the most flexibility to be able to meet very diverse business needs. So,
well, and I like the idea of reimbursable expenses too, even though they've already spent the money. Quite a few of our local businesses, I mean, hardly had websites or much of a Facebook presence, and now have spent for them a good portion of their budget to become more of a virtual presence. It'd be great to be able to do some sort of reimbursement program for them.
Good. That's good feedback. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Diane. Thank you, April. Those kind of grant opportunities tend to pop up pretty quickly. I think these kind of platforms give us an opportunity to have joint discussions about them. But if when we send those out, if sending them directly to you is not the right contact, let us know. We kind of build a list of who we immediately reach out to. Sometimes they happen pretty quickly, and we want to get connected to the right person as quickly as possible, so we can get that information back in our hands and try to react and get at least our fair share of the money that's out there. Sometimes more, we might ask for more than our fair share, but we'll strive to communicate that out there and then get y'all's feedback and see where these things take us. The next thing I wanted to I kind of put on I really just crafted this agenda this morning. I talked about doing a kind of a round robin of everyone that's here to have a few minutes to talk about what's going on in your specific area. But as we do this process, I would like for you guys to think about how often should this group reconvene? Should it be monthly? Should it be biannually? I don't know the frequency, and I don't want to overtax anyone. I know we all have enough Zoom meetings. Maybe every other month is a good choice. We're happy to host this, to schedule that and get the word out. If you guys have thoughts about agenda topics, I am certainly open to that and would welcome that. But be thinking about that, and let's decide. Because we would like to get that next event scheduled before we get off of this call today. So be thinking about that as we do round robins, and then you can just throw in chat what your thoughts are on the cadence for this kind of an event. And since I made our two board members actually wait and go last, I'm going to ask them to kind of go first and tell us what's happening in their areas. And Denise, could we start with you?
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm happy to say that pretty much Giddings is rolling back to normal at a rapid rate. Restaurants are open, businesses are hiring, there's lots of jobs available. We have a relatively low unemployment rate here, 5.1%. And our biggest thing is not enough people to do all the jobs, because we don't have enough housing to house the people who want to move here to do the jobs. So I don't know if that's the way it is in your community, but that seems to be our biggest challenge here.
Thanks, Denise. Housing was something we heard when we went to every one of our communities to ask for information for our plan. Universally, we heard we need housing that people can afford when they're taking jobs as nurses or firefighters or school teachers. There's a lot, when you get into the $500,000 and up dollar homes, there are those available, but it's that lower entry level market that's tougher to get into. So good information, Denise. Thank you. Briley, how about you next there in Llano?
We're kind of in the same shape she is. We've been open since May 31st. We shut down for about 6 weeks, but our businesses have been open. We've just been blowing and going and have done well in Llano. One of the pleasures of being in a small town is, of course, we manage our motel funding, and I planned for zero, like most people did during the pandemic, and all of a sudden realized that we're just nearly what we have been on hotel motel funding, because people came from out of town to stay with us, and which was really nice. But we've got a new Dollar General coming into town, so that'll be our second one, and we don't have enough people to take care of what we have already. So we're in the same boat Denise is in, as far as we have more jobs than we do people, and we have a lot more jobs than we do affordable housing. And it's just, people, right now, all you have to do is say, I'm selling my house, and it's sold. You don't hardly have to list it anymore. It's good thing, bad thing, but we don't have the housing, don't have apartments. So that's going to be our biggest challenge. And then I tell everybody, we kind of put the rural out here in Llano. We're out in the sticks and the boonies, and our internet is probably as slow as you can get anywhere. It makes dial-up look pretty fast sometimes. So we've got challenges. We're trying. We've got a couple of new companies that have come in that are speeding up our internet, which helps online businesses, and especially now that Zoom is going on so much still, that it's good for that. But it's nice to be in Llano, where we weren't affected quite as bad as some of the other areas. So we're just looking forward to moving on.
Thanks, Briley. I'm disappointed you're not wearing your hat today, though.
It's right over here. I can get it.
Thanks, Briley. Jim, how about you there in Georgetown?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Sorry earlier when I was getting from one place to another. Jim Johnson, President CEO of Georgetown. Things are looking good here. The chamber is operating in a good position. Our county today just passed another, thanks to some great work with those from Williamson County, another great grant program for our restaurants and hospitalities and bars that'll go live sooner than later. But no, everything's going well. I think everybody's housing market is interesting in Central Texas. People, for some reason, want to live in this great area, but we're excited to be that. Other than that, it's getting closer to normal for us, whatever this new normal is. So thanks, guys.
Thank you, Jim. April, we heard from you a little bit there in Smithville, but you want to tell us a little bit more about what's going on?
Sure. I would echo what Denise said about housing. We certainly here in our little rural areas, we just have a serious shortage of housing. We have identified 3 major areas here in our strategic planning, one of which is workforce training and the other is housing, which kind of go together. Being able to show developer the real demand in our area. So we have entered into an agreement with the city, and we will be beginning a workforce training center here. The chamber will be the main partner in that. The city is providing the facility, and we have several partners coming in that are going to help us in our 2 main areas that we've identified. One is medical training and the other is construction training, construction trades. That's going to be a big undertaking. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be pretty exciting to do it. And that's of a piece. So, we just had a big roundtable. Our superintendent, of course, continues to say it's so difficult for our small rural school districts to hold on to employees. They come and they get their first 2 or 3 years of experience, but they're commuting here from elsewhere. So they find a job in the district where they live, and we're right back to keeping those very talented but very young teachers, because they simply cannot live and work in our community. The same thing, we have a full service hospital. We have a great medical district here, a wonderful regionally recognized physical therapy rehabilitation arm, but we can't keep the staff here because they can't live in our community. So we're hoping to retain some of those younger people that tend to leave because they can't find a good job here in our area. And hospitality and tourism has been so badly impacted by COVID. Those people need training. They need to get into some other area, and construction trades and medical are without a doubt the hottest market in our area. So those are some big projects that we're working on right now.
Thanks, April. Gina, how about you there in Elgin?
Okay, good afternoon. So things are going good in Elgin. We again echo what everybody is saying about housing. However, in Elgin right now we have 10,000 lots being developed. We have subdivisions like crazy. Of course, our community Elgin falls in the Bastrop County and Travis County line. And so when it comes to businesses, we have a little pushback from Travis County on some of their things and development, but things are good. One of the challenges that we are hearing more recently is we really need more childcare options. We have so many people moving here, and now that so many are working remotely, and perhaps they're not driving into Austin like they did. 70% of our workforce already before would live in Elgin and work in the Austin area, and now that they are staying here or working remote, we just really have some challenges there with childcare. So we're looking. Hoping that we can get some more options there, but all in all, things are just crazy here. I mean, there was a house down for me this week that 19 offers on it. I mean, just those crazy type of things going on. But our problem right now is just so many new subdivisions as well coming in. So,
well, thanks, Gina. That's good information. Ashley, how about things in Luling?
Let me turn my camera on, I guess. Y'all can see me. Hi, how are y'all? I'm Ashley.
There you are.
Of course, with the Luling Chamber of Commerce, and I also run the Luling Oil Museum here in town. I feel like April told our story. We have the same things. Housing is an issue. We have huge teacher turnarounds, healthcare. It's hard. And then we felt like Luling is kind of landlocked, so we don't really have anywhere to grow. I mean, that's kind of where we're at right now, kind of caught in between, Lockhart and Seguin, and then Kingsbury became its own little town. And so now we're just like kind of stuck in the middle, and there's not many places to grow and change. But as far as COVID is concerned, we did really well, getting a head start on it and kind of helping our businesses transition into curbside and to-go orders. And so far everybody's done fairly well. Of course, I mean, they were, hurt as far as people spending money, but as far as staying open and being able to make those transitions and change, it helped them, a whole lot. We're looking at bringing back some of our events that we weren't sure if we were going to be able to have, but fingers crossed, as long as the governor's orders stay the way they are, we won't, we'll be able to have these fundraisers that are so huge for our community. So we're kind of excited about that. They'll look a little different because you kind of don't want to spend a ton of money, and, everybody's still a little scared, and you don't really know what to expect. But we're glad to be able to bring some of these fundraisers back and help the businesses and some of our community organizations and things like that. So that's kind of where we're at right now in Luling.
Thanks, Ashley. Good. Yeah. Nice to meet you. I don't think we've ever met.
Nice to meet you too.
I think that gets us, I don't want to tell these guys this, but I call them the Jasons because there's 3 of them, and we all talk pretty frequently, but we're down to the Jasons. So we kind of in reverse order from the intros. I'll start with Jason Giulietti.
Sure. Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it. And just so from my perspective, bringing a slightly different variety here to the conversation, being an economic development organization, I will share what many of you are experiencing probably in your communities is activity in new business growth is just unprecedented. We finished a record year last year, and this year looks to be on pace to double that activity, which for us would be mind-blowing because last year was a record year in every category we measure. Our pipeline, for example, of just new projects for this fiscal year just eclipsed $10 billion. Actually, it's close to $11 billion of investment exploring the 2-county footprint that we cover. So it is mind-blowing to see. We announced the single largest deal ever a couple weeks ago in the 2-county footprint, a new 1.2 million square foot facility, sort of raising the bar for the type of companies that are coming to our direction. So as that happens, it's necessitating a huge amount on the workforce side. And for us, and Paul, we really appreciate the collaboration with you guys, is we're in the first year of implementation of our 5-year strategic plan for the region. And workforce is a driver of that. We have an entire work group dedicated to it. And we're spending a lot of time right now making sure we're filling the gaps of existing industry, making sure our residents, whether they're displaced from COVID or otherwise, are being connected to the job opportunities that are available to them, alongside with making sure our new employers that are coming with thousands and thousands of jobs, make sure they are connected with those folks that are out there seeking better economic opportunity for their family. So very brief way to describe activity is just, again, hitting on all cylinders. We have been very aggressive at going out there and generating this business, and only expect the next several months, since I will be back on airplanes again starting in about 2 weeks, pretty much straight through the summer. It seems like at least every other week somewhere in the country, trying to take the activity level and amplify it to the next level. So it is a common story right here in Central Texas. I will share that I know just from several of the communities here, we work with a lot of you guys, that we're going to continue to see this for the foreseeable future. So that's in a nutshell where we are. Jason, to my left, at Mock at the chamber here, is a key partner in what we do. All our chambers are. So we appreciate what all you chambers do, on top of you, Paul, and your group, and Brian. Thank you for everything. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jason. And Jason Mock, how about from the chamber perspective?
Yeah, from the chamber's perspective, things are going as good as things can be. I think all of us from the chamber world last year were, struggling, and for me, pulling a little bit of what little hair I have out of my head, wondering, is this going to, what's this going to do to our organization? What's it going to do to our industry? But I think looking around this room, we've all been able to rise above COVID and help our business community survive. And continue to survive. So for us, we have partnered with our city. We're in the process of doing a grant program through the CDBG funds through HUD, and we're giving out about around $160,000 in COVID relief funding. We just submitted our first payments for 6 businesses last week, and many more to come in the near future. So that's exciting for our community. From an event standpoint, we held our first event a few weeks back. The chamber and the partnership got together and held a transportation summit. We actually had over 100 people in the room, a little over 50 on Zoom. So we're seeing that encouragement of folks wanting to get back out and engage, face to face with each other, and that's exciting. And so we have another one in a couple of weeks. Followed by our State of the City in April, the end of April. So we're going to go gangbuster of getting people back out in the community, and so we're excited about that. The other things that not to talk about from our standpoint, but Paul, from your standpoint, at the beginning of this, y'all put together a dashboard about numbers of where people stood in the sense of unemployment rates, things like that. Is that dashboard still active? And if so, is there a link? I've lost that link, I guess I would say.
Okay.
And my board is starting to ask questions about unemployment and just what's happening in our district or in our community, in our region. And so I'd like to give them, up-to-date numbers if you have those available, that we could be sharing those out.
Sure. So we still have that dashboard active, and I think, Diane, can you share that link, maybe verbally, and then maybe throw it in chat?
Yeah, absolutely. Brian actually just threw it in the chat. So it's workforcesolutionsrca or workforcesolutionsrca.com/board /COVID-19 workforce impact report. But I can send it out to you via email so that you guys will all have it.
Thank you for that. All in all, things are good. We're looking forward to a good year, and hopefully everybody gets vaccinated and gets out and about.
Thank you, Jason. And now Jason Paul.
Hey, so a couple things. Again, I just want to thank everybody for engaging in this. I think the more we're able to accomplish as a region together, the better we're all going to be served. This is an exciting time because I think every county on this map behind Paul is in the world's crosshairs right now for wanting to have a corporate presence. Either because they see the rapid growth that's happening in this metro area and want a piece of that pie, or because they want to engage with the workforce that's here. And so whether the organization you represent is a more rural character or more urbanized character, I think everyone in this map has an important role to play in helping grow the pie bigger here for all of us. So appreciate everybody being on the call today. Real quick, Danielle, can you give a wave? This is Danielle Morrissey. She's our newest team member here at the Round Rock Chamber, and we're combined chamber and economic development, so we sort of have a foot in both worlds, if you will. Danielle is going to be spearheading our efforts when it comes to anything workforce development. And to that extent, we've also combined our business retention and expansion services for businesses under her umbrella too. So we've got those local business resources, those existing business resources living within one department. We think that's really going to streamline everything that we do. Her Talent Development Council has established 2 working committees. And so we've restructured everything here at the beginning of the year, and that's really starting to bear some results and grow some momentum. Thank you to Brian and others on this call that have been plugged into those efforts through making business visits with us and things like that. We're really excited to gin things up. And then I'll just echo the Jasons in San Marcos. And I know many of you are experiencing this. Man, it's just a crazy time. The pipeline is full of projects right now. You folks in rural areas, I look wistfully at some of those open green fields that you have, because that's probably our biggest challenge right now is we're trying to squeeze out space and do fill out type of projects right now. And that's fine. We understand the phase of development that we're in here in Round Rock. But for folks that have land, talk to your developers, talk to your local landowners, because they can cash out big. And there's some real exciting large projects that are going to be coming to this area soon if you can put the right product together for them. So man, good luck to everyone. This is an exciting time. After struggling through central Kansas about 6 years ago, I can tell you I like these types of issues a lot better than the ones that central Kansas is having to deal with right now. So let's go get something. It's going to be a fun decade here.
Thank you, Jason. I know you're a big Nebraska supporter, but if you had anything to do with that snow that we got here a couple of weeks ago, we're going to have a conversation about that, because that just wasn't right.
We were supporters of the first snow event that lasted one day. We were the only family on our block that had an actual sled. And so we were popular. We had nothing to do with the destructive storm that ruined everyone's week.
Well, thank you. I'm open to suggestion on, well, before I do that, did anybody not get a chance to say anything they would like to say today? And everybody got to introduce themselves. Okay. Let me ask you guys to give me some feedback on cadence for this meeting. Once a month, every other month, once every 10 years. That would be the cadence we're on right now. I think we need to do it a little more often than that. Could we shoot for go ahead, Jim.
I'd say quarterly for now. I think that works well. Unless, I don't know if monthly, I'd go every other month, or quarterly right now is my recommendation for the group.
Okay.
That's just me.
We could send out a doodle poll and ask everybody to kind of vote that way, and we'll get some concurrence that way, and then we'll get something scheduled for our next meeting. Does that seem all right with everyone?
Yeah, I'd echo.
Oh, go ahead, Jason.
I was gonna say, I'll echo what Jim said, but at the same time, if something comes up like the IKEA grant that is just, and we need to get on a call in a couple of days or a couple of weeks, then to rally the troops. I think it's always good to kind of hear it from y'all versus, we read the emails, but if you're like me, you get a lot of emails and you start flagging them, and before you know it, you're like, crap, I haven't answered that one or really gotten to it. So having a verbal meeting about it sometimes helps.
I agree. And when we get all these great brains on this call talking together, I think it kind of gins up some ideas for everyone that we may not have. So it's good to talk about it, kind of talk it through, and might give some of us a better direction on ways to go. So thank you, Jason. That's a great idea. Well, I would echo what I heard every one of you guys say. We have a lot of challenges in this area, but we have a lot of opportunity, and there's a lot of good things going on. And it's, you know, it's really just a great place to be. It's a great place to be working. And you know, these kind of things are fun. I mean, it's fun when things are on the upswing and we got people beating down our doors to hire the people that they need to hire. We have educators that are looking to get into the area to provide the right kind of training. It's an exciting time to be in this part of the country doing the kind of work that we do. And I look forward to working with each of you. I think this is a great group, and I look forward to hearing the great things that will come out of these meetings. So thanks for y'all's time today, and I look forward to the next session. Thank y'all.
Thanks, everybody. Good to see you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.